So we're continuing our discussion now on how to precisely position linked content grids. So I'm going to go back now to design mode, and I'm going to go now to a server-side event. And what I'm going to do now is let's take a look here at the onAfterExistingRowsRender. So after the HTML that represents the rows of this grid has rendered, I'm going to compute some JavaScript and then send that JavaScript back to the browser in this e.javascript property over here. So you can see here that in the help for the event handler, it tells you that if you want to send any JavaScript back to the browser to execute, you can do that by setting the e.javascript property. So you'll recall from the previous video that we had created in the master template a table with 3 columns, and each column had an ID of TD1, TD2 and TD3. So in my JavaScript, what I'm doing is I'm getting a pointer to the element TD1, so that's element target. Then I'm getting a pointer to element source, and the ID of the div that contains the grid is available inside the RTC property that is passed into this event handler. So e.rtc.id_grid_part_container contains the ID of the div that contains the grid. So you can see here that I'm using again the $sign JavaScript function to get a pointer to this element, and then I'm saying that if this element, this TD1, if it exists, then use the JavaScript function, the JavaScript method append child, which in effect moves one DOM element from its current position in the DOM to another position in the DOM. So this command here is actually doing all the work, and it's moving the grid from its current location into this new location directly underneath TD1 in the DOM. And then this code here is repeated in all of the grids. So the second grid, the grid that is on cities, uses the same code in the onAfterExistingRowsRender, but moves that grid into TD2. And then in the third grid, the final grid, the grid that's on the last name field, that again does the same code, but that uses TD3 over there. And that's how we were able to precisely position each of these grids into the master template that was defined in the top level grid in this series of cascading grids. I hope that you found this technique useful. Thanks very much.